Okay, so we have Ricky over here. He is my Richard III character from Richard III. And he is wearing neither his black coat nor his crown, but I am wearing my noble coat outfit as well as a crown to make up for it. So let's see if he has anything to say. I'm gonna wake him up. Okay, be quiet, clouds. Spoons are sleeping. Okay, yep, total nonsense. Well, I'm glad you got some rest, Ricky. Nice. So harp not is one of the phrases that I gave him, short for harp not on that string, and we'll talk more about that later. His other line is, his greeting is a horse, for a horse, my kingdom for a horse. I don't think he's going to say this right now, but that's okay. But Ricky's perfect. He's cranky, which who in Shakespeare is more cranky than Richard III? So that is Ricky, my character. Oh boy, we got a real scrum here. We got Bianca. I can't get through. Okay, Kabuki is talking to Ricky. Okay, well, are they going to have a little conversation? All right, well, let's see what Ricky and Kabuki. Oh goodness, let's see what Ricky and Kabuki are saying to each other here. Ah, now see, this is perfect in line with Ricky. You should consider lightening up a bit, pal. Why are you always such an ornery cuss? I mean, you know, if anyone's an ornery cuss, it is Richard III. Let's see what Ricky has to respond. That's a laugh coming from you. You want to see a surly grump? Maybe try looking in the mirror. Well, you know, when you get two grumpies talking to each other, this is the kind of crankies. They're crankies. When you get two crankies talking to each other, what else? What do you expect? Look at you getting your hackles up over a little constructive criticism. Listen, Kabuki, you better watch it. Your neck may be thin. I mean, this guy put away his own brother to try to get the crown. So you gotta tread lightly, my friend. All you do is criticize. You can take result, Craig. Boy, words are getting heated here. This is harsh. You just keep on yapping. I know. Oh, what do you say we let Rianbu hear? Don't get me in the middle of this, Kabuki. I mean, oh boy. What are my options going to be? So which one of us is the crabbiest? Okay. Well, you are both a little grouchy, but you're not always grouchy. I like both of you. Wowie, Rianbu. You'll even get Ricky to smile with that kind of flattery. Well, I don't know if he will, but maybe there is hope if the next generation is not like the kiddo. Wow. I don't think I've ever had two crankies talk to each other. That was quite a little experience. Oh, wow. Now they're both crying. Wow. We have really had a cathartic moment here with these old guys. Okay, well, that was exciting. Okay, so let's go check out Richard III's area. There's Bianca. Let's see if we have any snowflakes, because the first thing that I just want to say is over here so Ricky's house is right here behind this castle wall and gate. I'm hoping to get more of the castle type items to sort of really make this totally castle, but the quote that I have out in front of Ricky's place is, "Now is the winter of our discontent," a very early line said by Richard III in the play. Now you can see that I have this little panpipe, I think you might call it, that is on this stump, and that is to represent the line, "This week piping time of peace," because Richard III is very kind of warlike and violent, and so he does not like times of peace, and it is definitely a time of peace at the beginning of the play. So what we have over here, you can see this is meant to be the tower, and we've got some jail bars here with some hay behind it. But this barrel with the wine bottles on top represents Clarence, Richard III's brother. One of the lines Richard III says is, "We are not safe, Clarence, we are not safe." And he also says, "Simple, plain Clarence, I do love thee so, that I will shortly send thy soul to heaven." So Richard III has his brother, who is ahead of him in the line of succession to the throne. He has his brother killed by being stabbed and drowned in a vat of wine. So that is what this barrel represents, with the wine bottles on top of it, is, we can just imagine Clarence stuck in that bottle there. So moving on from Clarence, over here where we have this resuscitation dummy on the table with a woman's dress in front of it, this is meant to be Anne in front of her dead husband. And Anne says, "O cursed be the hand that made these holes. If ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the life of him than I am made by my young lord and thee." This is a very tragic line because Anne actually ends up marrying Richard III, and Richard III is indeed the person who killed her husband. And so in these lines, she essentially curses herself. Also, while she is parading around with her dead husband's body, this is when Richard III comes upon her and actually proposes to her. It is quite an interesting scene, and she ends up taking the ring, and she says to take is not to give, but she does end up marrying Richard III, much to her grief, because she does end up dying, and he probably poisoned her. And Richard III even said, "Was ever a woman in this humor wooed? Was ever a woman in this humor won?" And odds are good that the answer to that question is no. It was quite striking that he was able to win her, but most likely it was a bit of a power play, that she didn't have a lot of choice. So you will see this tarantula model here, and the tarantula model is to represent the Richard III, and he does get called a spider during the course of the play. In fact, Queen Margaret to Queen Elizabeth says, "Why stewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnareth thee about?" And it is really true. Richard III weaves quite a deadly web around everyone else in the play. So you can see over here that I have a model of a kind of a mannequin of a young boy, as well as a picture of a young boy, and then a baby carriage. And I can't quite decide. There are two princes who are Richard III's nephews that are also in line ahead of him to the throne. And guess what happens to them? Yep, he also has them killed. And so I want to have two things to represent each of the two boys, and I can't quite decide. The baby carriage, none of them are babies, even though their mother calls them her babies. But I don't know, with this modern dress on this little mannequin, I don't know that works. So I'm still working on that. So these two little boys are the Princes Edward and York. And when they come to town, Richard III has them, for their quote-unquote safekeeping, put in the tower, which is actually where they do end up being killed. And it's interesting because as they're having a conversation with their uncle Richard, the younger of the two boys says, "I shall not sleep in quiet at the tower." And Richard says, "Why? What should you fear?" And York says, "Marry, my uncle, Clarence's angry ghost. My grandam told me that he was murdered there." And so he's referring to his other uncle, Clarence, who Richard III had killed. And Prince Edward said, "I fear no uncle's dead." And Richard says, "Nor none that live, I hope." Well, they should be very afraid of the uncle that lives, because Richard III does end up having them both killed. So speaking of those two little boys, There is another famous line in the play that says, "Not on that string, madam. That is past." And what he's saying, that is past, is he's annoyed that she's talking about the fact that he killed her 2 sons. And so that's what he's telling her to not harp on anymore, is the fact that within the past, I don't know, couple of months, he had her 2 sons killed. Little sons. And in fact, he goes beyond that. He wants to marry her other living child, her daughter. And so he wants to marry, again, tightening up this line to succession and getting himself a more stable position. He wants to be married to the daughter of his brother. And so it is not surprising that the mother is reluctant to agree to this. The money bag represents all of the times he's paid assassins to kill these various people that were in his way. And so that's why I have this bell bag down here. So over in this area, you will see that I have an axe with a stump, and this is just a hairstyle, but it kind of looks like a head here in front of the stump. This is to represent the myriad of people that Richard has executed in various ways, but I think at least 1 or 2 of them were indeed beheaded, and so that represents that. And you can see here that I have a noble coat in black that could be Richard's coat. I have a sword in black that could be Richard's sword. And over here, since so much of this is about this throne that Richard works so hard to get and then holds so shortly before coming to his own demise, I have that here. Oh my gosh, Ricky is talking to Kabuki again. Let's see if we can see what they're saying. Let's see if they're... Oh, and Ricky's wearing his outfit! Oh, this is fantastic. Okay, Kabuki says... Now, what was that thing called? Dang, memory keeps failing me. Right on the tip of my tongue, too. And Ricky, God, these 2 crankies. My brain ain't what it used to be either, but maybe we can help. Can you describe what it is that you're trying to think of? Kabuki says, one of them carnival games where you throw something to win a prize. Well, I think both beanbag toss and ring toss, but I think ring toss is more often a carnival game than a beanbag toss. Right, yeah, ring toss. Seems obvious now. Thanks for that, kiddo. Well, boy, I'm sure glad I could help. So why were you trying to remember ring toss? Huh? Oh, I used to run that game on the boardwalk. See, we'd rig it and chisel the rubes. Good times. Wow. Okay, so while we're over here, check out Ricky. In the meantime, he's had a wardrobe change and he's looking fabulous. He's wearing his crown and his black coat. Thank you, Ricky. I don't know why you're carrying a dainty little basket, but that's okay. I can work with this. I did catch you. Like to wander off to the more remote part of the island. What are you talking about? You're like 10 feet from your house. Well, he is cranky and he is old. Has a little trouble with the old memory. Well, thank you, Ricky. You know, I appreciate it. I think you knew I started to do this video, and you decided to change into not only your coat, but also your crown. You're looking good, bud. Okay, let's get back to our work over here. Okay, so we were talking about the throne, and if you see this gift here, another thing that he says is he's not in the giving vein. This one guy that's really been helping him out, he's done all this stuff, and Richard's promised him all this stuff, and when the guy finally comes up and asks him for, you know, everything that he's promised, he says he's not in the giving vein that day, and so the person who did all this work does not get any gift. In fact, guess what? He also ends up dead because Richard gets sick of him. So, you know, I think I'd be getting as far away from this dude as possible. So the black tent represents, you hear all these terrible things that Richard III has done. Well, he does get his comeuppance, because the night before this big battle of Bosworth, the guy that is coming up against him has all these sweet dreams and is just feeling fabulous and sleeps really well and is all ready for this battle. And the entire night before the battle, Richard is plagued by terrible nightmares, and all the ghosts of his victims come and talk to him and curse him. And so one of the things that Richard III says is, "My conscience hath 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue brings in a several tale, and every tale condemns me for a villain." And he absolutely is a villain, and he absolutely kind of does deserve what he gets. And so at the very end of the play is another very famous line, because he is in the battle. He's doing terribly. He falls off his horse, and he can't get a horse again, and things are really looking grim. And he yells out, a horse, my kingdom for a horse." And he does not get a horse, and he gets killed. And frankly, he really probably deserves it. So that is my Richard III area. And please, this is very much in progress, and I do plan to design Ricky's whole home, decorate the whole thing inside in tune with Richard III as well. But if you know any other items in the game that you think would be good for my Richard III theme, please leave me a comment, because I would love to incorporate your suggestions as I continue to develop this area. So thanks for watching.